So as hunters, we often talk about finding those awesome rut hunting spots. And that's awesome. When we find those spots, it's great. They can be magical. But if you have the ability to do work on the land that you hunt on, or manipulate the habitat on the land that you hunt on, you can actually create those rut hunting opportunities. So let me show you how I'm going to set this stand up, or how I did set this stand up for a rut hunting opportunity, because this is a spot that wouldn't have hunted well during the rut before, but because of the work I did, this is a spot that I think could be dynamite during the rut this fall. All right, so here's the setup. So we've always had a food plot right up in there. It's been a good little food plot, but this woods was a transitional woods. It was closed canopy, junk timber, not many valuable trees. So what I did was come in here and create a bedding area, and look at how gnarly thick this is now. This is literally, there are beds there, up over there that I created that the deer are using. You can see the whole thing is thick. The dead trees that you see are buckthorn that I killed, and they're dying nicely. We have some nice thick aspen right back there. But basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm sitting the edge of this created bedding area. So northwest wind blows this way, so this will be a morning hunt only. My northwest will blow out that direction, kind of cutting the edge of the plot. But in theory, the deer should already be back in their bedrooms. So I should have a nice clean wind. That's about the best direction I would want it to blow. I don't want it to blow anywhere near the bedding. So it's just going to cut the edge of the plot. The toughest part about this one is access. So this is deep into our property, and that's all CRP out there. So that's a clean access through there. The only issue is going to be right at the end here where we got this food plot, right where the side-by-side is sitting. So I'm going to have to cut over food. I don't like to have to access near food in the morning, but I've noticed on these smaller, more micro plots that I have a better chance of getting in clean, where as opposed to accessing through a large food plot or through like egg, because that's kind of those destination spots that the deer are at overnight. And plus during the rut, the deer kind of running ragged anywhere, so there's always a chance that, I mean, they could be out in the CRP and I could bump them out there. So it's a little bit of a tough access, but this is the type of spot that I'm going to go hunt right before the rifle season. Rifle season this year is November 4th in Minnesota. So this is kind of my home run spot where I'm going to get aggressive, and I'm going to go for it one morning sometime within that 4 or 5 day window right before rifle season, when we got a good northwest wind and a cold front, hopefully. So yes, it's a little bit aggressive, especially since I have to kind of cut right over a little bit of food, but I still think I can get in and have some pretty good hunts in here. And I'll pan to a video right now to show that, I mean, the deer were in here last year during the rut. Actually, they were in here quite a bit right after the rifle season too. So I'll pan to that video and show that, you know, I could hunt this one right after the rifle season in Minnesota and maybe have some good success too. So here's just a little bit of B-roll footage from the previous hunting season. Some video I've shared before in other videos, but you can see the bucks really push into these cuts during the rut. That's when these cuts really shine, because the bucks know the does are going to be in here. So they push into these areas, and the daylight activity skyrockets during the rut because the bucks are in cruising and looking for does. So knowing this, it was time to set this stand up and get where the bucks want to be during the rut. So right there is where all those videos were taken. That's going to be the spot where we potentially kill our buck in this stand. So we're using the camera intel to determine that we needed to put a stand right here. And that is going to be the spot. And you notice like the movement is a little bit later in the morning. So I think if we slip in nice and early, we can get in clean and potentially kill our buck right there during the rut. I am going to be trimming that branch out too right there. Give myself a clean shot. So Here's where the buck will be standing, I think, when we get the shot. This was the mock vine that they came to every time they were in this cut, or at least every time we got pictures of them. I have the camera right over there. So probably a 15 to 20 yard shot. The stand is right up in that tree. We can use the whole trunk. That's a really big tree. The whole trunk to hide us. I purposely put the stand off the back side because I wanted to be able to use that trunk to hide our bodies. We can just reach around it and get our shot right here. And look at this. I mean, we got a beautiful little canopy. Feels super thick and secure. There's literally beds. We got a nice bed right up in there. There's another one further up there. Tons of beds out that direction. We got some beautiful bedrooms out that direction. This is kind of the central hub, the bedding cut. This is where the buck will be standing. You can see I'm kind of spraying it out a little bit here today just to give him that trail. I did some spraying in here, just finishing it up, and now we'll just set it and forget it. Here's one of the many beautiful beds in this cut. Look at that. That one gets used quite frequently. I have tons of them set up like this. You know, you go a little bit further up here and we'll hit another bed. Lots of room to move around, like always when I create these cuts. You can see we got a bedding spot here and a big beautiful bed right here. This was worthless woods before. 10 acres of junk that did nothing for wildlife. Completely transformed it with the chainsaw. Now it's going to be a phenomenal rut hunting spot. Here's another bed right up there. Spot. Again, had no value before the chainsaw. And now it's maybe the best bedding area on the farm. You can see I do got trails cut through it. I'm guiding all that movement right down to that central hub. And look at how thick this is. The aspen regen over there. Hinge trees, flush cut trees, tons of diversity. A little bit of buckthorn here and there. Let's spray that. I had most of it cleaned up in here. But for the most part, pretty much pure natives in here. And it's ready. It's ready to hunt this fall. I'll close this video with an update on how the hunting was from this stand this past fall. I actually only ended up sitting this stand one time. I sat it on November 4th, which was Minnesota's rifle opener. I had the right wind for it, so that's why I went in that day, and I had a very, very fun hunt. I made a point of getting into the stand very early because the access is a little iffy right at the end, and I was able to get in clean. And once I got settled in, I actually didn't start to see deer movement until a little bit later in the morning, probably around 8:30. I wasn't surprised by the fact that the movement was a little bit later, just based on the intel we have. The movement does tend to be a little bit better later in the morning, even midday in these cuts. But what I ended up seeing, I saw my one sit, I saw 4 does, 4 bucks. I saw one pretty decent buck that was dogging a doe in the cut. Not one that I wanted to shoot, but a very respectable buck. And actually the movement was really good up until the time I had to leave. I ended up leaving at 10:30 because I had to be back at the house by 11 to watch my kids. But I think if I would have sat, I would have seen movement all day long. Also, of all the deer I saw, none of them went by my camera. So that just goes to show that we can't always depend on cameras to tell us what's going on in a specific area. So overall, my one hunt from the stand was a very fun hunt, and I cannot wait to get back and hunt it again next year. In the meantime, I'll keep working to make it even better. All right, you all take care. God bless.